Hey guys, YouTube 100 here. Alright, now here I am on Halloween to finish off these 90s home video Goosebumps episode reviews. And now to conclude, yeah, I told you, as I'm talking about the Haunted Mask episodes, I reviewed the Haunted Mask yesterday, and now to finish off, here I am with a review for the Haunted Mask 2. So, yeah, so just like the first Haunted Mask, I mean, yeah, this is still like regarded as like one of the best episodes of the entire show. Yeah, there are like people that do say that this is better than the first one. Yeah, like I said before, just I am like kind of like not too sure which one to really call better because I just really like both a lot. And yeah, like I said in my review for the first Haunted Mask, like each one does kind of like have their advantage of like doing like a certain thing better than the other one does. So yeah, so for me, it really is just like kind of just like a just that's yeah. I'm not really not too sure which one I really do like more, but yeah, I really do like both a lot. And yeah, just yeah, this is really like one of like probably the best Goosebumps sequel of all time. Like, just yeah, it really is like just such a really good sequel, and yeah, it just is like once again just a really good episode. Yeah, like I was kind of like talking about before with like a Night of the Living Dummy 3, how like the Night of the Living Dummy sequels are really just like sequels of Goosebumps stories really done right. Because yeah, in those stories, how you you don't like have like the same family always like having Slappy. It's always like a different family that has him. So yeah, those are sequels done right. Here, like while like you do still like have pretty much like all the characters from the first Haunted Mask back, yeah, it is still like done differently. Like this, like rather than like Carly Beth, actually like having the mask this time and like having the mask stuck to her. This time, rather than her, it's Steve who ends up getting the mask, and he is the one that like ends up having a haunted mask and gets like stuck into it. So yeah, so yeah, well, like I did say that like the Night Living Dummy sequels are like sequels done right. Yeah, if you're gonna do a sequel like with the original characters in this style, this is definitely like a way to do it. How you don't have like the same character doing like the same stuff that they did in the first one. You do have like somebody else doing it at this time, and but you still have like all the original characters back, and yeah, with the character that went through it before, they know how to help this time. So yeah, so this is a sequel with like original characters back done right. It's not something like Say Cheese and Die Again, where you literally do have like the same characters just like doing the same stuff they did in the first one, and they're just getting themselves back into the trouble that they were in the first one. Yeah, so yeah, that's why I really don't like Say Cheese and Die Again very much, just because like why are you like having the same characters like do the same thing and just get themselves back into the trouble that they were in the first one. But yeah, here like you have like the same characters but a different one that's going through what like the main character of the first one did. So yeah, so I really do like how this is done. Yeah, and another reason why I did say that I'm not really too sure which to like say is better is because yeah, like as I said, each one kind of like has their advantage of doing like a certain thing better than the other one did. Yeah, and like and yeah, what I'm really like getting at with that is like the first Haunted Mask, like it did overall like take its overall story like more seriously than this one seemed to. But with here with the second one, like this actually is like a darker episode than the first one. Like just when you see like what happens in this episode to Steve, how like he does the same thing that Carly Beth did in the first one. How he like wanted to be like a scary for Halloween. So yeah, he eventually like ended up like finding the same Halloween shop that Carly Beth got her mask from, and he ends up going inside and finding another mask there. So yeah, he ends up taking the mask, and then yeah, he basically goes through like what Carly Beth did in the first one. How he like ends up putting on the mask, and it's like really scary. And at first he likes it, but he eventually does realize that the mask is like more trouble than it's really worth. And yeah, this time like just it really seems that the haunted mask has an even worse effect on Steve than the mask did on Carly Beth in the first one. Yeah, yeah, because like while in the first one, like how like Carly, while the mask did end up like getting stuck to Carly Beth, she like the mask really didn't like totally like overtake her. Like Carly Beth was like still in control. Nothing really bad happened to her. But this time with Steve having in his mask, like the mask actually like really like ends up like really like taking over him because yeah, of course like in this one like Steve ends up like having like an old man mask and yeah, and as he's like is wearing it, like he really does start to like feel the effects of being an old man. Like he actually does like slowly turn into an old man. And as the episode progresses, because you'd see like he gets like tired and weaker throughout, and of course like we see like what does happen to his hands at a point in this episode. So yeah, so it really is just like a really just like see like how bad this mask is really like taking over Steve. So yeah, so Steve really did seem to really like get him into like a worse position with the mask than Carly Beth did in the first one. So yeah, of course, like that stuff does happen with Steve in this episode, and also while that's going on, the other like um uh, story arc in this episode is that the original haunted mask, like Carly Beth's mask from the first one, ends up coming back because yeah, Carly Beth like mentions in this episode that after what happened to her in the first one, she ended up burying the mask, and the mask ends up escaping, and so then yeah, then the mask like is actually like did come to life. And then the mask in this episode is really just like really like trying to finish the job with Carly Beth and just get Carly Beth back under its control. Yeah, and yeah, for most of this episode, like the mask ends up uh, possessing the shopkeeper. So for the most of this episode, like the mask is just like controlling the shopkeeper's body. Like it just shows how just the mask is able to just really like pretty much like use the shopkeeper as an actual body. Like the shopkeeper is just like trapped in there and can't do anything about it. Like the mask is just like actually controlling the shopkeeper's body. And so then yeah, the haunted mask is really just like really trying to get Carly Beth, really just like get her protection out of the way so the mask can get to Carly Beth. So yeah, and we do like see throughout the episode like the mask is like kind of like being like a stalker to Carly Beth, like just whenever like the mask just we do like see at a couple points in this episode the mask is like just kind of like spying on Carly Beth at a couple of points. Yeah, yeah, and also like in this episode like the haunted mask does actually like have a different voice than it, it did in the first one. While the mask like didn't actually like totally like actually have a voice, it was really just like Carly Beth having a different voice, like that over the top witch like voice I was talking about. Here, like the mask actually does have like a more menacing and evil voice. Like it really has like one of those evil voices like that. So yeah, they did like give the mask like a more intimidating voice in this one. Yeah. And speaking of the haunted mask, before I go any further, something I just want to show you guys for a second is look what I got. I actually did get like a one of the haunted mask masks. Yeah, they were. I saw that they had these on Amazon, and I did get one. So yeah, so it just is really cool that I was able to like find one of the haunted masks. So yeah, and this thing is just like really awesome. So yeah, so yeah, it's a good thing to wear like for Halloween and also like use as like a display prop. So yeah, so it's really cool. I even got like a one of those like a mannequin head mounts that I to put this on. So yeah, so this thing is just like really freaking cool. Yeah, yeah. But anyway, yeah. Getting back to this. Yeah, yeah. So you do have like two story arcs going on, like in this episode with like what is going on with Steve and the haunted mask wanting to like get Carly Beth back under its power. So yeah, so you do have like those two different story arcs going on in this episode, and I think both are done like pretty well. Yeah. So of course, like this episode was based on the 36th book in the series. Yeah. Yeah, and and I did say how I wasn't really going to be making any like sort of comparisons from between like the episodes in the book, yeah. But just like real quick, like something I want to do mention is that like from what I have heard, like this episode is like significantly different from the book. Again, I've heard like a lot of people saying that they actually do think that the episode is better than the book. So I find that interesting because a lot of times when I like hear people like comparing like ep- the episodes to their book counterparts, people are usually saying how like just the books are better. But yeah, I've like been hearing more people say they actually do prefer the episode over the book. So yeah, so I think this is one of those rare cases where like the episode is like actually better than the book. Yeah, so like I said, this is like a pretty good episode. I still really do like it, probably just as much as I do the first one. But yeah, admittedly, I do kind of think that the ending is a little bit of a cop out. Now, what I mean by that is like like I was talking about in my review for the first one, how like just the story with the masks are that like when you put the masks on 3 times, like they will actually like stick to you and actually stay on you forever. Yeah, yeah, but at the end of this episode, yeah, that's not really like what happens because yeah, in this episode, like Steve does put on his mask 3 times, and yeah, and like shouldn't the mask actually like stay on for good after that? Yeah, but then at the end, after like the haunted mask ends up being defeated, Steve is able to actually like take off the mask. So isn't that like a little bit contradictory to what we've like been hearing about these masks for these 2 episodes? So yeah, so I do feel that that is a little bit of a cop out, but yeah, still just like the rest of it is still like just really really good, and it really is just a sequel that in some ways does actually like a match and outdo the first one. Yeah, yeah, so it really is good because yeah, you do like see like how in this episode like Chuck and Steve do have like bigger roles. They actually are main characters in this one rather than just like supporting characters that they were in the first one. And Carly Beth is also a stronger character in this one because after what she went through, what she did, she like knows like how Steve can be helped. So like I said in this episode, how the shopkeeper is possessed by the mask for most of this episode. So I don't really see much of him, so he can't help Steve. But this time, like Carly Beth really does act as sort of like a mentor in a sense because she knows how to help Steve after what she went through. So yeah, so there really is just like a lot of good stuff about this episode. So yeah, so it kind of is just like goes along with what I was saying about the first haunted mask. Like I would recommend it, but yeah, if you have watched Goosebumps, like you definitely have seen it. So I don't even need to make the recommendation. So yeah, so it really is just like a very, very good episode and a very, very good sequel. All right. So yeah, so I'm already like 12 and a half minutes in this review. So yeah, so let me just start talking about the episode. So yeah, so the episode once again opens up with an introduction from R.L. Stein as he's actually in the basement of the Halloween shop, and he was just talking about how the evil of the haunted mask lives on in this story. Yeah, and he was talking about how out in the basement, it seems that the mask maker left in a very big hurry, and if we're wondering why, we'll soon find out. And he then also said, "Viewers beware, you're in for a scare." Yeah, yeah. And then when the episode officially starts, like it's set like a year after the first haunted mask. Yeah, and it shows like how Chuck and Steve are not able to prank Carly Beth anymore like they were before, or yeah, and yeah, and in this episode, like a Steve is also like played by a different kid. Yeah, you didn't get like the same kid that played Steve in the first Haunted Mask to come back for this one. They have Steve played by a different kid in this episode. Yeah, and yeah, but yeah, the kid they playing Steve in this episode, they did like was like featured in Goosebumps before. Like I know that he was the main character in the Cuckoo Clock of Doom episode of the show. So yeah, so I guess like since like he was already like working with like Goosebumps, they decided to just like cast him as Steve since they couldn't get the original kid back. Yeah, yeah, and yeah, and but yeah, Steve wanted to know like what happened to the mask Carly Beth had last year, and yeah, and they also like Steve wanted to know like where Carly Beth got the mask, but Carly Beth wouldn't talk. Yeah, and yeah, Steve tried to get it out of Carly Beth by snatching her the uh, head statue, the head statue that her mom made in the first one. Yeah, but yeah, Sabrina then helped Carly Beth get it back. Heck yeah, and then yeah, then after like Carly Beth and Sabrina then walked off, Sabrina asked Carly Beth what she did with the mask, and Carly Beth revealed that she buried it. Yeah, and it was revealed that like she buried the mask in the cemetery that she scared Chuck and Steve at in the first one. Yeah, but then then it showed then the haunted mask then emerging from underground. found you. And in this episode, like I said, like this time, like the haunted mask is actually like more haunted this time. Like in the first one, we didn't really like see the haunted mask doing anything haunted. It was just attaching to Curly Beth's face. But this time, we actually do see the mask is haunted. It moves on its own and everything. Yeah. But yeah, something that I found like kind of strange about it is that in the first one, like it did show like the haunted mask actually did have eyes. Eyes, and it had eye holes. Like when Carly Beth put the mask on, like we saw that the mask did have eye holes, and of course, like there was the part where she looked in the mirror and saw that it wasn't her eyes; it was like the mask's eyes. So in the first one, the mask had eyes, but in this one, just like the mask doesn't even like have eyes. Just the the two holes where the eyes are supposed to meet, they're just like totally dark for this entire episode. So why did they do that for the mask in this episode? Who knows? Yeah. Then we saw like back at like the uh, Halloween shop from the first one, how the shopkeeper was like attempting to burn all the haunted masks so they wouldn't come alive again. Yeah. But then yeah, the haunted mask then ended up like appearing, and then yeah, then of course like the shopkeeper was just like standing in horror to see the mask back, and he tried to stop the mask, but the mask ended up like attacking him and ended up possessing him and attaching to the shopkeeper, like I said. Yeah. And then yeah, then it showed that like there was still one mask that was left that the shopkeeper didn't burn. Yeah. Yeah. Then the following day, like, yeah, Steve was just like talking to Chuck how about like he feels that they're getting too old for Halloween, and this year could be their last chance to do something really scary. Yeah. Then when Chuck and Steve then like saw the shopkeep, well, the haunted mask walking by, yeah, they then like recognized the mask as the mask Carly Beth wore the year before, and they were trying to ask the guy where they got the mask, where he got the mask from, and yeah, then yeah, the haunted mask then lured Chuck and Steve over to the Halloween shop, and then pointed to the Halloween shop and then just seemed to disappear. Then yeah, then when Chuck and Steve like saw the shop, it showed that like the shop was now like closed down and out of business. But yeah, Chuck and Steve then like saw that like the back door was open, and then Steve went down into the basement to try to find something scary, and then he did eventually notice that remaining mask, and it was like an old man mask that like was like pretty scary. Harry. So yeah, so Steve ended up taking the mask home with him. Yeah. Yeah. Then yeah, Steve of course he just like really loved the mask. Like he when he first put it on, he just like was really amazed by it. Yeah. Yeah. And then yeah, then at one point as Steve like left the mask in his room, like we actually did like actually see the mask breathing, and there were like spiders crawling all over it. Yeah, the spiders were actually like part of the mask. So yeah, so it's not like there were just like spiders in the room. Like, yeah, there were like spiders as part of the mask. Yeah, yeah. Then yeah, then as Carly Beth and Sabrina went out trick or treating, we like saw that like this year for Halloween, Carly Beth actually did wear the duck costume that her mom made her the year before that Carly Beth ended up destroying. Yeah. Yeah, so it was kind of nice to see Carly Beth like wearing that duck costume this time. They like brought it back for this one. Yeah. Yeah, and then yeah, then as Carly Beth and Sabrina were out, they then like saw Chuck, and yeah, Chuck was like dressed up as like a mafia gangster, and then yeah, as they were like asking about Steve, like Chuck was just telling them how they did find a party store, and yeah, Carly Beth like just like realized it was like the same shop that like she got her mask from, but yeah, she asked if Steve went in, and when Chuck said it was out of business, then Carly Beth presumed that they didn't go in. Yeah. Yeah. Then yeah, then that night Steve then went out, and then yeah, then he of course like put the mask on again. And then yeah, then he like jump scared Chuck with it. But then yeah, then Steve then like revealed that it was him, Chuck, and then yeah, then he just told Chuck how he took the mask from the store, and he just like promised well, he made Chuck promise not to tell anyone about it, and Chuck like was just like wanting to see the mask. So yeah, Steve then put the mask on for a third time, and then when he did it, then like Steve ended up like getting like this like deep or like man voice. Like, yeah, and then yeah, then Chuck like felt the mask, and yeah, he pretty much like was saying the same stuff Sabrina did in the first one, how the mask did feel like skin and looked real. Yeah, and like Carly Beth in the first one, like the mask was kind of like really just changing Steve. How Steve was just like becoming like a just meaner and just like scaring everybody at first, and of course like he loved it at first, but then yeah, Steve then just like and then like started to get like tired, and then eventually like when like Chuck was confronting Steve about how he was acting, and then Steve then pretty much just dismissed Chuck and just like said he didn't want to see him and just to leave him alone. Yeah. And eventually then Chuck then went to Carly Beth and Sabrina and was telling them like everything that was going on with Steve, and told them how he found the mask, and yeah, then when Carly Beth was just like questioning what was like everything about like how Steve got it and how he got into the store, and yeah, what happened when Steve put it on, all that stuff, then yeah, Carly Beth then realized that Steve was heading down the same path that she did, and so then yeah, she just like said that they had to find Steve. Yeah. Yeah, and then yeah, then eventually like Steve just ended up like getting like really weak, and he was like very just short breathed and couldn't like stand and the stuff, and then Steve had to like use a stick in order to walk. Yeah, 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 and then like Steve then after like getting really weak and just seeing like how the mask was like kind of like doing like something strange, how it was like kind of just really like seemed to like be expanding or something. Yeah, then like Steve like tried to take the mask off, but he couldn't. And then when he like came across like a couple other trick or treaters, and he was like trying to get them to take it off, but like Sabrina in the first one, they didn't see any bottom to the mask, and the two trick or treaters just like came to the assumption that it was actually his face, and ended up running away in fear. And yeah, and then when like Carly Beth, Sabrina, and Chuck had no luck in finding Steve, then Carly Beth then and like went to the Halloween shop to see that it was out of business. She was like thinking that like Steve may have like done the same thing that she did, and then yeah, she was just explaining like to Chuck and Sabrina what she did the year before when the mask wouldn't come off. Yeah, and then yeah, then they eventually then like went in the store through the back, and just seeing that there was nobody there, Carly Beth was even like wondering where the shopkeeper was. Yeah. Then Chuck and Sabrina then just tried to like persuade Carly Beth into thinking that Steve may be okay, and they then decided to just go to Steve's house to see if he was there. Yeah. But when they did, like Steve's mom told them that Steve wasn't home, but that he should be home soon, since like he Steve told his mom that he would be home by midnight. Yeah. And after like realizing that Steve wasn't home, then Carly Beth then just like was certain that what happened to her has happened to Steve. Yeah. And meanwhile, with Steve, he eventually just ended up like getting really weak, and then like he ended up actually like his hands started to age, and just like matching up with the mask with him becoming an old man. Yeah, just we just like saw his hands just like really aging, where they just became like really like the same color as the mask, and just like really just like old, and the fingernails were just like very long and everything. Yeah. And then Steve was just like horrified by that, and then he just ended up was approached by the haunted mask, and the haunted mask was like telling Steve how like the mask is the evil that controls him, and that Steve was now under his power, and Steve was now a helpless old man. Yeah, and the mask was just telling Steve that he'll do what the mask says, implying that the mask would like change Steve back to normal if Steve obeys the mask. Though yeah, it was never like actually like confirmed that whether the mask was actually like really like meaning this stuff, or if the mask was just saying this to like just get Steve to really just help it get Carly Beth back under its control. Yeah, it was never like confirmed whether the mask was like meaning what it was saying to Steve or not. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, and the mask was just telling Steve to bring the head of Carly Beth, referring to like the symbol of love statue, to the mask in the cemetery. Harry and the mask like wants Steve to bring it by the stroke of midnight. Otherwise, Steve would remain an old man forever. So then Steve went to Carly Beth's house to retrieve it. Though yeah, he first like was just like and to get Carly Beth's mom not to notice. Steve asked Carly Beth's mom for a glass of water. Yeah, and as she went to retrieve it, Steve then ended up sneaking into the house and ended up taking the head. Yeah, yeah. Then yeah, Steve then brought the head back to the haunted mask in the cemetery, and the haunted mask was wanting Steve to destroy it. But then when Steve was asking if the mask will like make him better once Steve destroys it, the mask like didn't like give a like an official answer, but just told Steve that if he didn't destroy it, then the mask would just make him worse. And yeah, then at first Steve was like reluctant to destroying it. He just told the mask no at first, and then as the mask was then just like was just like using some of its powers on Steve, like saying that would fill Steve with spiders. Then that's when like Steve like gave in and then like agreed to smash it. And then as Steve was hoisting the head up, like once again like saw the head like saying, "Help me, please help me." But yeah, like I was saying before, I don't know if like this was just Steve's mind playing tricks on him or not. Yeah, but then yeah, Steve then ended up like smashing the head, destroying it. Yeah, and as a result of that, then like Carly Beth's protection was gone, so the haunted mask, there was nothing stopping the mask from getting to Carly Beth now. Yeah, and just as like that was happening, like Carly Beth, Sabrina, and Chuck then like arrived at the cemetery to look for Steve there, and then as they were searching for Steve, then Carly Beth then noticed that the mask escaped from where she buried it from, and then yeah, Carly Beth then like started to freak out, and then eventually the haunted mask ended up approaching Carly Beth, Sabrina, and Chuck. And then, yeah, as the mask then cornered Carly Beth up against a gravestone, then yeah, the mask then had just Steve like hold on to Carly Beth, and as uh, Chuck and Sabrina were trying to get Steve to let Carly Beth go, the haunted mask then just like scared them to back off. Yeah, yeah. Then he was just like telling Carly Beth. Well, the mask was telling Carly Beth how it was just time to finish what they started last Halloween, and and he just and the mask just told Carly Beth that like was released by the power of Halloween, and just like telling Carly Beth now her eyes will see through the mask, and it and she'll wear its face forever. And then the mask then just threw the shopkeeper out, and then as it was about to then and attack Carly Beth. Steve then just threw Carly Beth down, and then the mask then like collided with Steve. But then yeah, Steve ended up getting knocked down, and then yeah, the mask then just like got weak. It like just like got a high pitched scream, and then just yeah, it was no longer alive, and just that was just like right as midnight struck. Yeah, and then then uh, Chuck and Sabrina then of course like helped Carly Beth and Steve up, and then the shopkeeper then like was revived and was just like just relieved that he was no longer possessed by the mask. And then just told Steve to remove his mask, and then yeah, Steve was able then to take the mask off. So yeah, so like I said, I feel that's a bit of a cop out, seeing as how Steve put the mask on 3 times, and it just seems that like they just like decided to like give the story like a happier ending, so the villain didn't win. So yeah, I felt that was a bit of a cop out, but yeah, whatever. Then like when Steve then was just like relieved that the mask was just a mask, and then yeah, Carly Beth then like saw that the haunted mask was no longer alive either. Yeah, Steve was just wondering how they were able to stop it. And then the shopkeeper then just told Steve that when he like threw Carly Beth down to protect her, that was a symbol of love. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then he was just like saying how Steve freed him and saved Carly Beth. Though yeah, the mask just threw the shopkeeper on its own. So how did Steve free the shopkeeper? Yeah, and the shopkeeper then was just saying Halloween brought the evil to life, and Steve's actions put it to rest, and let them hope that it stays that way. And then the shopkeeper then just ended up walking off. Yeah, yeah. Then later on, back at Steve's house, as Carly Beth, Sabrina, and Chuck were kind of just like switching around their candies. Then Carly Beth and Steve then threw their mask into the fire, and then Carly Beth, Steve, Chuck, and Sabrina were just like watching as the masks were burning. Yeah. Then as they all then went into the other room for hot chocolate that Steve's mom was making, and it showed them like the haunted mask survived out of the fire and like was starting to come back alive again. But then as like Steve's dog Sparky was watching the mask alive, then Sparky then just took the mask outside and just buried it once again. Yeah. And then as it was being buried, we just like saw the mask just continuing to breathe and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So it was interesting how just like we see the mask still alive and still being buried, but there was no Haunted Mask 3 to continue on with this story. So yeah, so I find it kind of interesting. We're kind of just like left to like just like wonder what happened with the mask after this. Did it come back the following Halloween? Who knows? Yeah. But yeah, then it cut back to R.L. Stein, just yeah, saying that hope we enjoyed that story, and he said that Steve is a good kid and brought him some of his trick or treat goodies, then it just ended with like R.L. Stein eating a piece of candy and just saying good night, everyone, and that's how it ended. So overall, like I this is still like once again a really good episode. Yeah, I mean it really is just like a worthy follow up to the first Haunted Mask. I mean it really is just like a really good episode. It is like a darker episode than the first one, and I just really do like how the continuity that it gives. How it really shows like it really is like I said a sequel with the same characters done right. So yeah, so I just really do like what it does. Yeah, I do like how it's darker than the first one, and yeah, and we just like really do like sympathize with Steve, just how he just seems to get it like a lot worse in this one than Carly Beth did in the first one, and yeah, and just yeah, it really is just a really good how we like see two different story arcs going on in this episode, and just yeah, with the payoff that they have is like while kind of a cop out, still pretty good. Yeah. So so I just really don't know what else I can really say about it. It is just like a really good episode, and yeah, and just along with the first one, it's just like one of the best episodes of the show. So yeah, so like I said, like I don't really need to give the recommendation because if you've watched Goosebumps, then you have seen this episode. So yeah, but yes, still, yeah, it just is like a really good episode, and yeah, it is one of the best of the show. All right, so yeah, so I guess that's all I can really say about it. All right, so yeah, so this is it for my review of the Haunted Mask 2, and this does it for my Goosebumps reviews this year for Halloween. So yeah, so I hope you guys did enjoy these reviews. Yeah, I just wanted to like kind of do something a little different. Like I've wanted to like talk about these for a few years now, and so yeah, then I figured that like this would be a good time to do it. So yeah, so I hope that you guys did enjoy me doing these Goosebumps reviews. Just thought it would be nice to like just do something that was kind of like a little bit of a change of pace from what I normally do for Halloween. Well, yeah. So yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy these Goosebumps reviews this year. All right. So yeah, and yeah, so I hope so yeah, thank you to those who tuned into these. Like I did notice that like each one of these reviews that I've done have at least gotten a like. So thank you to whoever kept tuning in to these reviews. Yeah, and so yeah, and now coming up, like I do have like some other stuff I do want to talk about. There are like a couple of upcoming movies I do want to talk about out that are coming out. Just give my thoughts on like how I feel about them being made. So yeah, I should have like a couple of videos like talking about those movies coming up soon. All right. So yeah, so stay tuned for more stuff that I got coming up. But yeah, thanks for watching these Goosebumps reviews, and I'll see you guys later.